Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Wars figure review. Today we're going to continue our look at the 6-inch line of the Black Series, and today we're going to take a look at a figure from the prequel trilogy of the Star Wars movies. This time around it's the Jedi Master himself, Obi-Wan Kenobi. This figure is from Wave 3 of the Black Series, and I've got to say I was a little bit sceptical about picking this one up originally. I didn't have plans to pick him up. I saw images of him online, thought he looked a little bit plain, a little bit generic, but once I saw him in stores and once I got him out of the packaging, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with this figure. I'm really impressed with the detail, the sculpt, and just the overall awesomeness of this Obi-Wan Kenobi 6-inch figure. So if you've had second thoughts about picking this one up and you've been a little bit hesitant, then by all means go out and get this guy. He is very cool. Do have a few complaints about it, and we'll talk about those in just a bit, but for the most part it's an awesome figure. And before we jump into the pros and cons, we are going to look at the packaging that Obi-Wan comes in. Once again, if you've seen any of my previous Black Series reviews, you'll know that the packaging on these 6-inch figures is absolutely spot on. Really nice indeed. Have that presentation box feel to this, which obviously gives the product a much more adult collector feel. The black and orange mesh really well and just produce a really nice outcome. As you can see at the top of the box, we do have the Star Wars logo, as well as an image of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And like with the Stormtrooper that I gave you a look at in my last video, sadly this is a European release, so we have that sticker on the back covering up the character description and image from the film. Once again, for time constraints I'm not going to remove it, but if you have this figure yourself, you'll know exactly what that looks like underneath. So there we go, that is the box for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now let's take a look at the figure itself, and as I said, very impressed with this guy. Do have two minor complaints about it, and we'll talk about those in just a second. Before we do, let's run through articulation on this figure. As always, Obi-Wan has a ball jointed neck, hinged shoulders, hinged elbows, hinged wrists, ball joint in the torso, hinged hips, swivel thighs, double joints in the knees, double joints in the ankles. One of the things I really love about these 6-inch figures is the fact that some of the clothing and the creases and folds within those do really nicely hide the joints and articulation points, which is very cool. You know, look at this figure from a distance and you'd hardly notice those knee articulation points there. So that's really cool in my opinion. The other thing I really like about this figure is the texture on the Jedi robes. You've got that really nicely woven effect, which just looks absolutely incredible. And you've also got nice weathering to it as well, just to give it that added depth. As you can see, you've got some nice sculpted details on the belt as well. We do have a hole there for the lightsaber hilt, as well as all the appropriate pouches and bags and clips and all that sort of stuff. As you can see, Obi-Wan does indeed come with his lightsaber, which, as you'll see there, does have a peg on the hilt, so you can plug that into the belt just there. The blade is also removable. And as you can see, the head sculpt is reasonable as well. This is, however, where one of my complaints about this figure falls into place. It's not particularly so bad with this sample, but with figures I've seen in other reviews and on other websites, the eyes have been painted a little bit off on some of these figures, and some of them look just a little bit goofy, if I'm being honest. Luckily, I had a few to look through, so I was able to pick up one that wasn't painted too badly. But yeah, just for future reference, if you guys are out there and you're considering picking this guy up, if you have one or two on the pegs in your local store, do make sure you pick one up that has a reasonable paint job, because you will find one. One of the other things I really like about the head sculpt is not only how accurate it is, but you've also got the grey highlights in the hair, which again add depth and realism to the figure. And you've also even got, and I'm not sure how well it's going to show up on camera, but you've even got the little dimple on the forehead, which is very accurate to the features of actor Ewan McGregor, who plays Obi-Wan in the film. So really impressed with that. Really great detail all around. The final issue that I have with this figure, and it's not so much a complaint because the figure itself is really good, it's just I think it lacks a vital accessory, and that's a Jedi Robe. It would have been really nice to have seen a soft goods brown Jedi Robe with this figure. It would have really completed it and made it look absolutely stunning, but sadly we do lack that from this figure, which is a shame, but by no means does it detract from the overall presentation of the figure. The figure itself is really, really nice, and as I said, it pleasantly surprised me. I wasn't expecting much from this figure, but I'm really glad that I was able to pick it up. And now that I have the Anakin Skywalker figure from Wave 4, my apologies. You know, once you have those two in hand and side by side, you know, you really can't complain, and you get some really cool scenes out of those two figures. So I'll give you a look at Anakin in a future review, and I'll show the two side by side. But for the time being, I hope you've enjoyed this review on Obi-Wan Kenobi. And as I said, I'll be back with more 6-inch figure reviews very, very soon. Got a ton of 6-inch, 3 3/4 inch and Lego reviews to do for you. So stay tuned for all of those, and as always, until next time, thank you for watching, keep collecting, and may the Force be with you.